This is a video to show how to map some tabular data when you have the XY locations inside the table, whether it be a DBase table, a text table, or an Excel spreadsheet. And here we're working in the island of Puerto Rico, and we're going to simply add the tabular data, and we go up here and we use the plus sign. And the tabular data is inside of eBird. So we go to eBird, open that folder, and we have an Excel spreadsheet here. We're going to open that. And we have each of the worksheets, and we bring one in at a time. So let's just grab worksheet 1, which is usually the one most people start putting their data in. And if we bring that in, notice how it has changed us from listing by drawing order to listing by source in the upper left corner of the table of contents. And that's because this is a tabular data. It's not spatial yet. If we right click on that layer name and go down to open, we'll go to open first. Here's the tabular data. This is what it looks like. We have different fields here associated with the species name, the scientific name, and so forth. But we also have these two fields, which are important ones, latitude and longitude, which give our location. And if you look at these, you can see that this is 17.9977427. That's obviously decimal degrees. So these are in decimal degree, some sort of decimal degree system. Now, what we want to do is use these fields to map these points so that we can identify all these species locations. And the way we're going to do that is we come back up to the layer and we right click again to get the context menu, but instead of open, we're going to go all the way down and use display XY and bring up that dialog. Now, the display XY dialog, move it over just a little bit here. What it does is it's going to want an X and Y field to display the data. It's going to need to know where in the projection it is. And it defaults and starts looking for information and names it recognizes, and it found longitude. For the Y field, it did not find latitude, and instead it grabbed year collected. We know that's incorrect, so let's set it for latitude. So we're set it for latitude, so we now have longitude for the X, that's your east-west direction. We have latitude for your Y, which is your north-south direction. There is no field or Z field or elevation information. And then we come down to the last piece here, and we have a coordinate system of the input. Now this is what it's asking you, what are these coordinates down here in this tables? What do they really mean? What system are they in? Well, you would normally go to your metadata associated with where you got this table from, and you'd make sure that you're using the right coordinate system. By default, the dialog reached out and grabbed the data frame information up here and put it in place. Well, it's not the same coordinate system as the data frame. So in order to correct what's shown here, we need to use the edit button. And for the edit button, we get another dialog, and that allows us to select a coordinate system. And we're going to go ahead and select one. These data sets came from a GPS locations. More than likely, they're probably in WGS 1984. They could be in another coordinate system coming out of a GPS unit. You also, again, have to know what the unit was recording in and what it was downloading in. So we're going to go to geographic and say yes, they were in the normal format. World we go into, and down at the bottom of world there is WGS 1984 projection. We're going to grab that, apply it. Notice it gets it put in the dialog here. We're going to say OK. It updates it here, and we're all set, and we hit OK. Now you will more than likely almost always get an error that there's no object ID. And that's fine, because this was not spatial data to begin with. And they're just telling us we're not going to be able to export this, but they do remind us that we can export it to a shapefile, and that's what we're going to do. So we say OK, it plots the information out there. Let me just change the color a little bit to maybe make it show up a little better. And we can also, a little graphic anomaly here, make them a little bigger. There's our points. And these are the XY locations that we brought in for different species. They look relatively normal. We don't see any way out in the ocean things like that, they seem to fall where you'd expect them to fall. That's just an initial check. You would have to, if you really are suspicious of your coordinate system that you use and whether it's correct, you need to check it against some known locations. Alright, so we now have what is called an event layer inside of our ArcGIS map document. This layer only exists inside the map document. If you want to use it at in another document or a later time, it's a good idea to export this out. And what that will do is create either a shapefile or a geodatabase feature class. So we right click on the event theme and we say, and we go down to, in the context menu, to data. And in the context menu under data, there's an export option. Pick that. And inside this dialog, it allows you to export all features or a selected set. It also asks you about using this layer's source or the data frame. So if we wanted to project it to the data frame at this time, we could. Instead, let's just use the data layer source. And we give it a name and an output location. So we go click here, and we're going to put it inside eBird, and we're going to call it eBird underscore WGS 1984 to show what projection we're in. And we can identify whether it's a shapefile or a personal database or an SDE feature class, either way. And you select the one and say yes, and it writes it out. There. And we'll add it into the table of contents if you want. So there they are. They fell on the same spot. And at this stage now, I would suggest you can go ahead and remove that event theme layer. And you could probably even remove your original table while you're at it. No sense leaving too much in that you don't need. And we'll switch back to the drawing order. And that's how you can take tabular data with a known XY location in some projection, find out what the projection is, bring it in, and map it with your other data, and essentially create a new spatially referential database feature class or shapefile.